Hey guys, welcome back to Plant-Based Kidneys Kitchen. Michele, Renal Dietitian here, and today we're talking about salt and a low sodium diet for people with kidney disease. And I have some visuals that I'm going to show you so you can see what it looks like. So first of all, what is low sodium? In general, it's recommended for all Americans or all people to have less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. For people with kidney disease, oftentimes we'll see two recommendations: less than 2,000 milligrams or less than 1,500 milligrams for a tighter restriction, especially in someone who has high blood pressure, which is many people with kidney disease. But what does that even look like? So I have my salt here. So 1 teaspoon of salt is about 2,300 milligrams of sodium. So just so you see, that doesn't look like very much at all. That's 2,300 milligrams of sodium. That's the maximum amount that would be recommended for someone to have in a day, whether they have kidney disease or they don't. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt is around 575 milligrams of sodium. That's really the maximum or the minimum amount that someone needs in a day is around 500 milligrams. So you see that it's really not that much that we actually need to be consuming. Now I have a 1/2 tablespoon. This amount is how much the typical American consumes, is around 3,400 milligrams of sodium. So a lot more than the amount that we actually need compared to what people typically take in. Now, if you're already thinking and you're saying, well, I don't add salt to my food, I don't use salt in cooking, 75% of the sodium in the US diet actually comes from processed packaged food or eating out, whether it's restaurant or fast food. So even if you're not salting your food in your cooking, usually it's adding up very, very quickly from eating out or using products in cooking that are very salty. So I have some examples that I'm going to show you, and some of the top foods that we can buy at the store or sometimes we get when we're eating out that contribute to most of the excessive sodium intake in the diet. So one of those is cured, smoked, processed meats, and even vegan meats are included in that. And I wanted to pick up a vegan meat option since obviously this is a plant-based channel, because a lot of times the big mistake people make when they're trying to eat more plant-based is instead of getting a hot dog, they'll get a vegan sausage or a vegan hot dog and not realize that it's still a processed food, very processed food and loaded with sodium. So this one for one sausage has 620 milligrams of sodium. So that's obviously on its own high sodium. But let's say someone's making a sandwich with this, or they're making using a bun, they're not usually just eating this on their own. So then we look at, okay, well, I have some vegan cheese, or regular cheese is another significant source of sodium in the diet. This one for one slice is 180 milligrams of sodium. And then bread. Bread can be another very common high sodium source in the diet. So this is just sourdough. I don't have buns, but one slice of this bread is 260 milligrams of sodium. So if you just simply made a sandwich with one slice of bread, one of these sausages, and one of these slices of cheese or vegan cheese, that's over 1,000 milligrams of sodium for that one meal. Now, oftentimes we eat a sandwich, we want something crunchy along with it. So let's say you have a crunchy, salty snack like pretzels or chips or salted nuts. Those are another significant source of salt in the diet. For these, which 17 pieces is a serving, that's 340 milligrams of sodium. And the sad thing is, I counted it out. This is 17 pretzels. So it's not a huge amount, providing 340 milligrams of sodium. Of course, there are low sodium or unsalted pretzels and chips and crunchy food, but you can see how quickly this stuff adds up. Some other common sources are going to be things like canned vegetables. So this can of tomatoes per serving, which is a 1/2 cup, 300 milligrams of sodium. And then canned soups and chilies are another significant source. So this one for 1 cup is 530 milligrams of sodium. But if you eat the whole can, which is probably pretty common because 1 cup's not a very big portion of soup, is 1,120 milligrams of sodium. And I challenge you to look at places that you like to go eat out, like fast food or restaurants where you pick things up. See if they have the nutrition information available, because you'll be shocked how there could be 1,500, 2,000 milligrams of sodium just in one meal. That's an entire day's worth in one meal. So the point of all this is just to be aware, read labels, and then realize that most of the sodium is not coming from home cooked meals. Even if you're sprinkling or adding a little bit of salt, it's coming from adding, canned products that are salty or highly processed vegan or regular meats and cheeses, or eating out. So some tips and kind of guidelines for people with kidney disease. So to make your meal low in sodium and keep you under that, at about or under that 1500 milligram mark, then meals should be up to 400 to 500 milligrams of sodium, and snacks up to 150 milligrams of sodium. The reason I say up to that amount is you don't need to eat that amount. Again, you only need about 500 milligrams of sodium a day. And if you use a little bit of hot sauce, or you sprinkle a little salt on a home cooked meal, or you're using some products like a low sodium veggie broth, or some canned tomatoes that are lower sodium, you're going to meet that minimum amount of sodium. It's usually people are going over on the other end. So up to 400 to 500 milligrams of sodium per meal, up to 150 milligrams of sodium per snack. And then some tips for just decreasing salt in general is don't add the salt while you're cooking. A lot of times we add salt here, there, and it adds up while we're cooking. Wait until the end and taste it. And if you need to sprinkle a little bit of salt on, then that's going to keep the sodium much, much lower. The other thing is look for low sodium products. Low sodium, technically, the definition, it has to be 140 milligrams of sodium or less. So if you're looking for a broth, or you're looking for pretzels, or you're looking for a canned veggie or canned beans, for example, which I actually have one here. These are some canned garbanzo beans, and they have 85 milligrams of sodium per serving. So that's considered low sodium. The other thing you can do with canned veggies and beans is you can drain and rinse them, and then that'll get rid of about 50% of the sodium. So things like olives, beans, canned veggies, anything like that, drain and rinse, and then that'll get rid of about 50% of the sodium. The other thing you can do is, of course, cook more meals at home, limit how much you're eating out, and then look at how things add up and just make substitutions and swaps. So if you absolutely can't get past using a bread that is saltier and you can't find one near you that's lower in sodium, then make sure that your sandwich that you're making, or the pasta meal or salad or whatever you're having, is a lot lower in sodium. So overall, for that meal or snack, you're still falling within those guidelines. I hope that helps you guys. Again, just wanted to give visualization of, this is like the maximum amount that someone should have in a day. This is the minimum amount, and most Americans have this amount or more. So lowering sodium in the diet is so important for general population, but especially people with kidney disease. And I hope this helps you see that. Leave your questions in the comment section, and I will see you next time.